No, it is our meeting. All right. So I'll call the meeting to order. Dr. Ramirez, can you do the land acknowledgement?
Sure. Pasadena City College is a learning community within the indigenous homelands of people who have been known as the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians of the Shishkawanga Village and Nation. We acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced removal from this land on which we gather. We honor all indigenous peoples past, present, and future and their continued survival and contributions to our society. We also honor the legacy of the African diaspora and recognize that this country would not exist without the free enslaved labor of Black people. We share these acknowledgments to raise awareness about histories that are too often erased or forgotten, to recognize our place in this history, and to affirm our commitment to social justice, systemic change, and anti-racism.
Thank you, Dr. Ramirez. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting notes on September 21st, 2023?
Move to approve. Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion passes. I want to apologize in advance because I'm going to have to leave a little early today, but Dr. Ramirez will take over the meeting. For those of you that were able to join the Board of Trustees yesterday, I know that you may have heard some of the remarks that I made about strategic planning and our upcoming centennial. So I want to sort of share some of that with you. I started off my remarks at the Board of Trustees meeting yesterday asking folks if they remembered where they were on March 18th, 2020. Do you all remember where you were on March 18th, 2020? So at PCC, we were actually beginning the first day of remote instruction. Classes had been canceled 2 days prior to help faculty prepare for the transition to teaching courses online. The Board of Trustees was actually meeting in Creveling Lounge for what would be their last in-person meeting for nearly 2 years. The very next day, the day after that Board of Trustees meeting, Governor Newsom would issue a stay-at-home order, marking a key milestone in the start of the pandemic that would change all of our lives in so many ways. During that meeting, the Board of Trustees voted unanimously to approve the college's educational master plan. The actual day before the stay-at-home order was announced by the governor. The plan had been based on extensive participation by stakeholders across the college and by the board. In fact, Crystal and the chair of the academic senate at the time were the two leaders who sort of managed that strategic planning process. That plan is now known as the College Strategic Plan, and I've been really impressed by how we as an institution have been able to flex, and that plan has continuously been updated through a comprehensive system at the college in the years since. But, as we all know, we are living, working, teaching, and learning in a much different environment than we were in March 2020. The context in which the strategic plan was drafted is a snapshot of a higher education world that doesn't exist anymore. Everything has changed. With this in mind, the Board of Trustees discussed at our October 6th retreat a desire for the college to revisit its strategic plan, and I agree. This is a pivotal moment for us to reflect on our past and re-envision the future of PCC, especially as we enter our centennial year in 2024. The next 100 years will be much different than the last 100, and very different from even the last 3 to 4 years, and we need to prepare for that future. So over the next year, we'll be spending quite a bit of time and effort laying the groundwork for a new strategic planning process and furthering the board's strategic goals. We will be providing more updates and opportunities for participation at upcoming board meetings, but also at college meetings. This next year will also be a time of celebration as we prepare to mark the centennial of PCC. We're diving headfirst into our planning process, and we're beginning conversations with college stakeholders and the board to make sure that the centennial is a truly special celebration that has the input and wisdom of the greater campus and external community as well. So next meeting, I hope that we can start some of that process by including the centennial as an item on our next college council agenda. We don't have a big budget, but we do have so many incredible assets on this campus and in the community that I think we can amplify and we can really help tell our story of the last 100 years, but also the next 100 years. So, beginning that strategic planning process at the same time that we're going through the centennial, I think aligns very well, right? Because we're celebrating the past, but also re-envisioning the future. So I'm sure you're going to hear from our various leaders that are here from the college about many of the wonderful things that have been happening at PCC since our last meeting, so I'm not going to go through all of that, but I'm happy to answer any questions about the strategic planning sort of process that I've just mentioned, the centennial, or anything else before we continue with the meeting. We'll definitely be having lots of conversations about this, and definitely in this venue for sure. We'll move on the agenda to our Vice President of Instruction.
Okay, so I do have a few updates. Our enrollment is looking good. FTS this fall, as compared to last fall, we're up about 7%. So that's exciting. We're moving in the right direction. Our head count is up about 1,500, and I think we can see it just with today actually having a shakeout. We could see all the people out there, so that was really exciting.
Head count?
Yes, it's moving in the right direction. So the other thing we're looking forward to is winter, right? So we have winter back, so that'll actually give us some FTS as well. Our goal for the year is 21,000 FTS, and I think we're well poised to get there. We're about halfway there already. So excited about that. The planning process started, so thanks to Crystal's office. So we started that last week, and I just wanted to share a few of the highlights on what the Office of Instruction wants to really move forward with for the next year. And one of them is definitely dual enrollment. We know that that is an area of growth, not only for FTS, but also just to have a presence in the community. Looking at things like our pathway projects and making sure that students that are enrolling in dual enrollment are actually on a path to one of our career communities. So that's something that we're working with across all the divisions. Distance education. So As you all know, we have an AP that does identify that faculty need to be recertified every 3 years in order to be able to teach distance education. Prior to the pandemic, we had a very small cadre of faculty that were decertified, and of course now just about everyone is, right? But hence, from that time, it's been 3 years. So a lot of people need to be recertified. And so I have been kind of pressing on the distance ed committee to come up with a recommendation on what that looks like. Whether it's POCR certification, @1, whatever it is, but we need a recommendation that will go to the Senate for the DE certification, and I hope that I get everyone's support, especially on our instruction side, to make that happen, because we really need to enforce that AP and make sure that our college, if we, as we move forward with the big DE presence, that we are doing right by our students. And that our faculty have the right tools and needs to make sure that they're doing the best they can. So that's one of my goals. We kicked off the student success team, so I'm really excited about that. I think we have made a big step forward in identifying what the team looks like, what the membership is. And so now bringing people together to talk about what is the goal, what type of data are they going to be looking at to talk about student success, and what every career community can do to support the students, the faculty, and the staff in those areas. So I don't think we have, okay, so I'm going to bring up also that I'm really excited about the Microsoft Office certification process. Jason's not here, but I think we have over 40 classified staff in the instruction and in the student service side participating in that. And that's to help them get certified for Microsoft Excel, Outlook, I think we did PowerPoint as well, and Word. And really the goal is to help people be more proficient in their jobs and also help all of us, right, produce more and be able to do our jobs better. And then back to the planning process, the other thing we talked about was outcomes. So making sure that we have not only our course level outcomes in place, it's part of our accreditation midterm report that we kicked off yesterday as well, so we're working on that. We have some time, but one of our recommendations from ACCJC was that we disaggregate data. And so that conversation is moving forward, and we hope that we can make it happen sooner than later. That's part of my plan for the next year, as well as needed for our accreditation midterm report. And that's all I have today. Any questions?
Can faculty participate in the NS certification if they want to do that?
Right now they're full, but I think if that is a desire, we can talk about how to make that happen for maybe next year.
Thank you.
I'd like to do that.
Any other questions?
Okay, let's move on to our Vice President of Business and Administrative Services.
Hi everyone. So since the last time we were here, we presented our adopted budget for 23-24. So we are moving as a part of connecting to sort of the planning process that we described. Everybody puts in their request, right? There's this really amazing budget retreat that folks get to come in and prioritize. The top 20 or so items were funded and augmented to budgets. And so the way in which we do that is we first identify how much funding is available for one-time funds. And so just so y'all know, one-time funds are easier to give out. And so we set aside a pool. The largest project, the largest cost project that came in actually #1 for the campus community was to help support our Child Development Center. So we've got project funds for both shade structures over there as well as a new playground. So in your spare time, if you want to go see the kiddos, that's my part of the Great Shakeout. I help to exit the cribs out of the CDC. It is tough work. Like I'm sweating. It's hard to get those babies out of the CDC, but hats off to them. But I would say that the community really rallied around their need, and so their items were highly ranked, and we have project funds for them. And then we touched every other person who was in that top to let them know that their budgets for 23-24 have been augmented with those additional funds. So we'll be presenting the official list at our BRAC, the Budget and Audit Committee, their next meeting. We'll get that out and get that on the website. Because I think it's important for us to sort of really be transparent about, like, you all do such a wonderful job putting in your annual plans, and to have nothing sort of come back like, well, what happened? So we want to make sure that we're intentional and proactive about that. So that's coming. It'll go to BRAC, and then we'll work with SCAM to get them on the website. The other big piece, of course, is our bond and Measure PCC and our bond program. And so we are going to be really working intentionally with each of the stakeholder groups, our academic senate, classified management association, and associated students, to really have them play front center roles in helping us shape the priorities of the campus. The facilities subcommittee of College Council is going to play a really important role in that. They will turn into our bond work group. They're actually now going to be meeting on a bi-weekly. So most of our shared governance bodies meet once a month, which is awesome. That allows us to do the business. But in that group, we're actually going to try to really shift them to bi-weekly so we can start getting, again, messaging out. I'm going to be sending Dr. Lopez a request to get on the Academic Senate agenda regularly, so that we can regularly make sure I get an opportunity to come to Classified Senate, I get an opportunity to come to Management Association. So I want to love with my faculty as well and get on that. So we're consistently getting out the communication on what's happening. We posted some informational sessions about the W building. So there was a session yesterday, there's a session coming up at the end of this month, I think on the 27th, again, to share out what's going on, what's our roadmap with that building, with the folks who are immediately impacted. So I thought it was important to sort of start with that group, and then we'll come out to each of the constituent groups to continuously update on those pieces. So there's lots of things happening. It feels a little overwhelming at times because I think that bond piece is just going to really start churning. And so forgive me up front when I keep tapping on your shoulders. We need some help. We need some, we need focus groups. We need these sorts of things because that stuff is coming. And then, of course, patience and grace as construction and moves are not going to be easy. They're not going to be fun. But, we're hopeful to get to an end point where we have a really beautiful campus that really meets our students' needs in each of our groups. So that is my report. Any questions?
What date is that town hall for the W building?
We had one yesterday, and then we have one on the 27th. It's a Friday.
27th on Sunday.
In this room.
In this room. Great. All right. And do you know what time?
I'll tell you. She's quicker than me. I want to say it's 11.
I think it is too. But it is 9
a.m.
Because I know there's been some questions, but I think it's important for folks to attend that meeting if they have, questions or want to know about the process and why and all those kinds of things. The Board of Trustees yesterday also expressed interest in hearing more about the bond program as well. So we're also going to have a presentation both in our subcommittee, facility subcommittee, but also at the board meeting, probably the next board meeting as well. So we'll get some more information about the projects there as well. Any more questions for
I have a
Candace?
question. Do you guys have a projected date for removal from the W?
We do. So the projected timeline for demolition of that building is fall of 2024. So move out will happen between that spring, sort of the preparation for that piece.
And are we doing, are they being moved to other buildings, or will there be structures like, those?
Bungalows.
Yeah.
Our favorite.
We're not calling them bungalows, we're calling them
Suites.
suites.
Cabanas.
Okay. Yes. We're closer in the way. So there's a double sort of, there's a sort of step plan to that. So the classes that are currently scheduled in W building are being relocated to other rooms on campus. The faculty, we will be working with the divisional deans to relocate them into other areas on campus. We already have our kinesiology area has already identified their location. They're going to be starting to move folks. So that is less of it's a challenge, but it's not like a major challenge. I think we've got good people working on what to do related to the scheduling of classes and then the movement of faculty into new spaces. That area is planned, once it's demolished, it will then be paved over, and then we will get Suite Central located there, so that as we're exiting faculty and staff out of, let's say, our L building, or, that's where they will naturally go. And that'll be our swing space suite. Sweet swing space. Sweet swing space.
That's good. Yes.
Sweet swing space. SSS.
The elegantly appointed suites.
And we'll purchase them. We won't relocate any seasoned suites to that area. We'll get new suites for that area.
Seasoned. Vintage.
No, recently vintage suites. No recently vintage suites in that area.
All right. Great. Now we'll move on to our Vice President of Student Services.
Hola, hello folks, good morning. Bienvenido, I don't see everyone's face, but hi. I have several things to report on. If you step out into the pod, you'll see the Health and Wellness Fair we're doing for the next few days. And so I encourage you to swing by, let your students know, let your staff, everyone know that there's opportunity to talk to folks. Personal counseling's out there. I do want to give an FYI about the name personal counseling. We are looking at shifting that, working with Dr. Bailey on calling it something around mental health or something more current. What's happening there is that they get 40 calls, they document it, plus a day, with students thinking it's academic counseling, and they're literally routing people over and over. What we're trying to do within student services is eliminate the fuzz, right? Anytime we have to transfer someone over, it's about calls drop, people get frustrated, etc. So we're looking at it as a group to talk through what would that look like. As well as with counseling, looking at how do we clarify what that is, because they also get calls thinking it's mental health counseling. And so there's a lot of back and forth, and our students getting lost there. So working through that, but I do encourage you with the Health and Wellness Fair to check it out and encourage folks to come by. The HBCU Caravan is next week on Tuesday. Dr. Bolden's going to give some updates, but I wanted to just let you know a couple of highlights. We have a total of 505 students that have RSVP. The Chancellor's Office gave us the goal of 300. So we're very excited. We know more folks will come out. We have a celebrity. Are you going to share that?
No,
You're going to share that? Okay, I'm gonna keep that. We have nothing. There's a surprise. It's a surprise. Dr. Bullen will share that. But we also have a radio interview tomorrow on KBLA, 7:40 a.m. Really? The radio station AM? Anybody listen to AM radio?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yes, of course we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do on air. Yes, we do. To talk about the event and talk about transfer.
Well, we're not listening to KPCC.
Oh, okay. We'll continue on. The next part that I want to report out is really around retention, recruitment, enrollment, retention, persistence. So I've been working with the outreach team led by Brock. And we got some fall enrollment report. I'm going to kind of speak out loud what the numbers have been over the last few years, and then also share that with you. I want it to come from Brock to the College Council, because it's really important that it comes from the leader from that area. And so what we broke down this year, so fall 23, we had 12,000, around 13,000 applicants. From there, we got around 4,700 students that actually enrolled. The report that you'll see breaks down demographics. It'll break down like when people register. Funny enough, they register very closely to graduation, right? High school graduation, because a lot of our students are traditional age. And then right when school starts, there's a rush. So they actually document like what dates are peak, which I hope we can have a conversation as a college to talk through, what's the PD day? What do we call it? Flex Day, and how that impacts specifically our staff as we try to help our students enroll. But I want to present data to y'all, not just like verbal, right? We'll talk about who actually enrolled. So we did really, so in enrollment, what we look at, number of applications versus how many actually registered and enrolled, that's our yield rate. Traditionally, colleges have between 20 to 30% yield rate. So I'm not a math person, I apologize, I know I'm confessing. But whatever 12,000 is, 12,700 to 4,300, let's do that. What's the 30%? So we're right on target, we can do better. Here's why we can do better. I'm gonna give you numbers from last year. So I'm gonna tell you what's going on with us. So fall of last year, so fall 22, we had 20,598 applicants. Mind you, remember that the system has one application, people can do multiple. We also know that there's some local high schools that actually require every high school student to apply. And so we've been tracking, and this report is really awesome because you'll see the colleges, or the high schools that we bring students from, how many also completed financial aid. So it's important as we think about demographics, including economic, right? Okay, so 20,000, so our yield rate actually went up, but we enrolled still 4,700 students. So we're kind of consistent around that. We're a little under 5,000, right? Then let's go another year, fall 2021. And I wasn't here, y'all, that time. So think about what was happening at the college. You talked about March 18th, 2020. I'll tell you in a second what happened that year. So for fall of 21, so what, a year into, oh no, not quite a year into COVID, the start of COVID, we had 34,000 students apply, 34,500. From there we yield 5,182. So our year rate's going up, but the applications are going down. So part of what Crystal's office is doing with instruction ourselves and multiple other players is kind of figuring out what's going on in the environment, right? As a enrollment manager, we're talking about it at the national level because we don't know our students. Post the start of COVID, we're still learning like their rhythm. Before COVID, you could go out to the client and say between 10 and 2 is going to be packed, right? And now it's starting to look like that. But really, who are the students that we're serving? So now let's go back to COVID, fall 2020. This is, I would say post.
Right,
March.
yeah, so the
Post.
first fall.
We got 27,000 students that applied, 6,247. I'm going to share this all with you. I also invite you to look through this and tell me what additional information you have or want, right? Because we're crafting that, the reports that make sense to folks. I'll give you the average age. The majority of our students are between 15 and 20. The majority of our students are out of district. That number still holds steady if you look back 4 years. The majority of our students are full-time, funny enough. We say part-time, but the ones that enroll for fall. Mind you, these are new incoming students, okay? Not currently enrolled students, okay? So there's a difference there. So it's really interesting how this is happening. But again, I'm going to share these reports out. Please
Did you
dig in.
mention 19?
No, I didn't get as far as 19,
Oh, okay.
but I could get the report for 19. We're going to go back.
That's the one before.
The prior one, yeah. So again, applications went up, but the yield was interesting. So at one point, at least within the last several years, we were at 6,247 students that enrolled. Persistence is a piece that I've asked the team to add. Like, what happens? Did they continue from fall to spring and from fall to fall? we are able to track that. Now, I put a pause on that because I also said there's areas of some challenges that we have. We don't have an infrastructure. The team is small and mighty, and they're serving thousands of students, yet we are using interest cards that are dated. We have the Clásico de México this past weekend. About 80,000 people attended. PCC, so thank you, marketing, everyone that was there. And you were there, también, the whole group was there, okay. We did kind of a lounge area. That place was packed the whole time. But technology failed us, so we couldn't, so suddenly we were gonna do like QR codes, get all smart around it and stuff, but that failed us, so we ended up just doing like cards, but we lost a lot of information from our students. We got 300 plus, so there's room for growth there. The Taste of Soul is this weekend, so we learned from this past weekend. The Taste of Soul is on Saturday, another outreach event that we're supporting, and we are learning from the technology piece of like how do we fix that if it, fails us. Okay, moving on. Outreach. We got the Title V grant, $3 million for the next 5 years. I do want to acknowledge Crystal, your team, everyone that was on, just helped pull that proposal together that was accepted. Outreach is meant to develop infrastructure, which is what it's related to enrollment, right? Because we don't have a system, we're basically having directors input student names in Excel sheets. That for me, at the level that we are at SPCC, one of the top schools in California, community colleges. On top of that, California, Texas, and Florida set the trend for the nation. And yet we're doing manual stuff. We can get smarter. And I do want to acknowledge with Candace's support and IT, TJ has been fantastic with just saying, hey, what are y'all doing? Why are you doing that? Like, there's a smarter way to do this. I already saw you when I said technology failed, your eyes went up. I saw.
Well,
I know, we'll talk through it. But we're partnering with IT in this project because we're looking at, again, what are ways that we can stop doing the hodgepodge thing and really kind of have a collective piece. We also, this means like PCC Connect, right? Can we leverage what we currently have and look at what are other things out there that make sense for all of us, because it impacts our work. Okay, last thing I want to report on is the success teams, the student success teams are preparing.
Can I just mention?
Sure.
You mentioned the grant. Do you want to mention the Seal of Excelencia?
Perdona.
Yeah.
So in that, as we think about enrollment, we're working on the strategic enrollment plan. We're pulling in all these pieces. One of the goals that we have is the Seal of Excelencia. So if you want to Google that, it gives us some metrics on outreach to our Latine. Okay, I'm gonna say just in Spanish. Latine students, and it helps us really. It's not just reach the seal, but it provides us that deep analysis of our students. Again, who are our students? Because it changes how we do our outreach. Then last thing, can I move any other? Okay. Student success teams, partnership with instruction, really is getting guided pathways continuing. I do want to say for folks that are like, what is the student success team? Like, I can't recall, not everyone was here. Really what it is your student services, instruction coming together, the deans, the retention specialists, the success coaches coming together, and looking at a cohort of students and saying where are they at, and where are the students that are stuck, are not moving. And then what outreach, then it activates student services to go and say, hey, whether we're going calls, we show up at people's houses, I don't know if that's legal, we don't do that. But we'll show up at like community centers, things like that, to outreach to our students and say, hey, how can we make sure that we put those connections together? And so again, it helps our students for their success, letting them know there's also additional resources. So that's the report I have for today. I'll share out again the enrollment reports, the updated fall 23, because I've asked them to add things around persistence. And I do welcome any feedback around what kind of information you may need on that. Okay.
Great, thank you so much. Any questions?
Yep.
Is the information, I know you said it was disaggregated by age. Is it disaggregated by race and ethnicity?
Race and ethnicity as well.
And you mentioned out of district is our biggest, is persistent. Given that information and looking at those numbers, do we have updated numbers as far as our population? Because it's been kind of.
Our current student population?
Yes, ma'am.
We should have it on Tableau.
It might not be there yet, but I have it.
Yeah.
Would you like it?
I can
I
definitely.
think like demographics, age, just every, yeah.
So I'll tell you that I'm gonna break down some of the numbers from this past year, not fall of this year, but it mirrors. It's very close. For American Indian, Alaska Native, about less than 1%. Asian is at 26.8%, and that still hovers. Our Black and African American is at 3.4%, and it's still there. There's a lot of work we need to do to reach out to our community. Latine is at 49%. Mind you, we're a Hispanic serving institution, and at one point we were at 65%. So there's some room there. That's why we're talking about infrastructure. For our Native Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, under 1%. Folks identifying as mixed race, so 2 or more races, is still around 4% or so. I'm interested in that number because as we are global citizens, our students have multiple identities. We have them pick a box, but I'm really curious as time moves on if the 2 or more races goes up for folks. And then unknown, non-responsive, like 2%, and then our white students are about 15%, a little under 15%. That's last year, folks, just compared to fall 23, and I'll share that report ASAP. Okay, thank you.
Do we know on the data we were really high, look at the 6,000+, if that number was calculated after they got rid of any bots that we had seen that year?
The number of applications going up, or the ones that actually
The enrollment.
Oh, that's a good question.
That
I would
was
have to ask.
pre-pandemic though, right?
This was fall 2020 is
No,
when
it
we
would
had
have
6,000.
been, that actually would have been,
The
That could have been
prime
that.
time to have the.
Because then they say, that's why the persistence piece is important to me, like how many actual folks continued, right? So we'll add those pieces. I'll share this and to see if there's any way that it answers your question. That's a good question, and we can actually add that to a report. So we have a historical piece on it, right?
yeah, that would have been
The bot, okay,
the
thank you
peak,
for
that would
sharing.
have been the initial bot period.
And Dr. Ramirez might be able to comment, but I think this semester it's way better.
It is.
Yeah. So-
Partially because we have a lot more in-person classes. I think definitely our student services team has done a great job at trying to get people out of classes early on. And we still have some faculty that are very vigilant about, wait a minute, there's something fishy here, and they do report. So there's been a lot of work. Again, a lot of manual work.
Yeah.
That's the challenge.
A lot of students like clicking on all the traffic lights and all the motorcycles
Yes.
and the recapture.
Great. All right, let's move on to IEDJ.
Yes, thanks Brenda for the segue.
Yes.
Tuesday, October 24th, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. is PCC's On the Yard HBCU Caravan event. So we have, honestly, just the outstanding honor and privilege of partnering with the Transfer Center to bring about this year's program. It's in collaboration, though, with the Foundation, Outreach, Black Student Success Center programs, Upward Bound, SCAM, Business Admin, PCC Northwest, and a host of volunteers, many of whom are managers, so thank you so much. And I wanted to just really share that because this year's program really, I hope that it feels district-wide because it is. Everyone's hands is on it. But I do want to pause and make a special thank you to the core team, beginning with our fearless leader, Tamika Alexander. The committee also includes David Steinman, BP Jones, Marilyn Johnson, Victoria Williams, and Quay Dane. The event's in partnership with the Chancellor's Office to bring representatives from a variety of HBCUs across the country for transfer options and includes intentional pre-activities for more than the 500 dual enrollment students that we're expecting to attend on Tuesday. We've included hotspot experiences that further inform students as to the offerings of PCC to include STEM demonstrations and a Center of the Arts tour experience. We will also have a special 90-minute session for our athletes, specifically our football and men's and women's basketball programs, to engage with former WNBA player, gold medalist, and first female coach in the New York Knicks franchise, Ms. Lisa Willis. and former NFL player Will Poole to talk about the importance of education and its impact on their personal and professional lives. We're looking forward to all the traditional pieces that have made this program a hallmark of the institution, to include the free food, the college swag, the raffle prizes, and live entertainment. And there are a couple of extra fun things to expect this year, one of which we're most excited about is from a celebrity artist whose Harvard University background and family upbringing centering education made her a great fit for sharing a message about pursuing education as a vehicle to realizing her dreams. And that is Miss Yara Shahidi. She's an actress and producer, and she's best known for her role as Zoe in the ABC sitcom Blackish and its spin-off Grownish. So looking forward to her participation and her sharing some words of wisdom to our participants. And just looking forward to sort of the HBCU Caravan event being next level this year. So thank you for everybody that's had their hands in it, and for folks that are volunteering. As we're hoping that, because of it, PCC is now sort of this option for folks as an educational sort of roadmap for folks. We update, as we're talking about the Seal of Excelencia, in July, Dr. Gomez had asked us to kind of do some research and look into it, so we went ahead, put our name in a hat, and as of October, it was September, but you got to pay the invoice, you got to pay to play, you got to pay to play. We received our participation in the fall cohort, so as shared by Brenda, for those that are unfamiliar with the program, it does focus on increasing Latin A student success, and there's 6 different key areas and 3 different sort of pieces of the framework. So we're looking forward to working alongside all of our campus partners, honestly. The 6 areas is enrollment, retention, transfer, financial representation, and degree completion. So this will definitely take a village in order to help us to be successful, to be certified with the seal. And so just looking forward to working in collaboration and hopefully towards our success and being certified as such. I think the last piece, we have a couple of new hires. One that starts on Friday tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Yes. And then next month, there are identity specialists that will be in our Pride and our Black Student Success Centers. So we'll find an opportunity to introduce them to the community, but we're definitely already working with their calendars to set aside some face-to-face time with each of you in their efforts to kind of get a sense as to the landscape here, while also doing so alongside our students. So thank you in advance for helping to welcome you. Thank you. That's it.
And I've been really impressed with the undocumented student work that has been going on.
Thank you for your support, Dr. Gomez. Yes, Desiree Hernandez and her team have done just an outstanding job really highlighting and centering those voices in that work, so I appreciate her.
And we did hear yesterday at the trustees meeting from Ernesto and Latin A Heritage Month. And do you want to mention anything about that?
Yeah, I think it was just a great example of the different events that are going on our campus and the work that's doing. And I want to also be mindful, and I didn't get to say this really yesterday, it was in different pockets of the college with different partners. And I think it's really important because when we do these events and we put on anything to uplift the voice of our students, it takes a community. And it's shown what Carrie just mentioned with the HBCU Caravan, it has to be district-wide. So if you haven't had a chance to look at that PowerPoint, look at it. And one thing that I said to the group this morning is, it's always great to do this work, but it's even better to do it together. So that's what makes it easy and makes it fun. So,
Thank you. We still have some more events.
October 25th is our Cumbia-thon, so if you like cumbia or don't know anything about cumbia, come and learn, 11:30 to 1 in the circadian.
And you forgot about DJ Sizzle.
Yes, DJ Sizzle will be there, yes.
Wow, I can't wait.
All right, thank you. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to Academic Senate. Dr. Lopez.
Okay, hello everyone. I wanted to say first off that I have class during these times, so if I come in, I'll come in late. But, because I love my students, I love my class. I don't want to cancel it. But as far as Academic Senate is concerned, we are moving forward with the Office of Instruction, thank you Dr. Ramirez, on our Liberation Through Education campaign. And our Social Justice Committee has created a rubric for faculty to participate in our PCC Ed Talks. We love that. That's a catchy thing. Instead of TED Talks, get it? It's Ed Talks. And our faculty will have the opportunity to participate and talk to students via this video about what liberation looks like for them. And our Social Justice Committee, again, has created a rubric. And we've also, what I'm excited about this campaign is because we're also taking it into the classroom. And our students get to see a visual representation of what innovative visual representation of what liberation can look like. And it's going to be accompanied with the goals of the Senate for what the students can expect where liberation is concerned. And that's super exciting for me because this is my last term and I can't wait for students. I can't wait for students to see what we've been working on their behalf. James, you're funny. And that's what I have. I'm gonna, if my colleagues have something else to add, that's my update.
I do want to piggyback off of the Liberation Education Campaign. We really do want students to see how faculty are fighting for them, to make sure their voices are heard in the class, make sure they feel seen in the classrooms. And that is having a visual for them to focus on in class. And the TED Talks thank you, the Ed Talks to make sure that we see and we hear what's going on in the classroom, and it's to inform them as well as affirm them more importantly, because student success is wrapped in a sense of belonging, in a sense of being heard in the curriculum, being seen in the curriculum, and that is under our purview in the Senate. And like Gina, I've already left Senate. My body is just there. I'm there mainly because of the students, and we want to make sure that along with the anti-racism policy, that we also leave a legacy of liberation in the classroom, and that would also include the outcomes we want to help create, to make sure there is a piece in the curriculum to give faculty the opportunity to measure how students are thinking globally, how they're thinking about other cultures and other people.
So with that being said, this board, this academic senate, we are really moving towards really centralizing students and putting them first in this campaign. So I'm very happy about that. Student-centeredness is one of our core values. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that the students know that too. So look for our posters. And again, thank you, Dr. Ramirez, because she helped us develop this and she's paying for it. So we just thank you for that, Dr. Ramirez. That's all we have to update.
So the visual sort of artistic representations inside the classrooms.
Okay, yes. And let me tell you about that. What I'm really happy about is that we have a PCC alum who was active in leadership. He transferred to the Art Center and he's been traveling as a photographer. I mean, he worked in Chiapas. He worked in, I mean, just some really, with the rebels. I mean, he has these visualizations that are outstanding. And he's going to use our students in these pictures about liberation. And what it is it's innovative ways of viewing historic events. For example, well, I don't want to give examples. I want you all to be surprised.
So one of the things that for your consideration is possibly before or after, why not have an exhibit of this work in addition to the work in the classrooms, you know, in the library or one of our galleries, and have a campus reception so that we can, as a campus community, have a conversation about the art and its representation and why it's important.
That is a fantastic idea. And we can talk about budget and all that kind of stuff when I meet with you later.
No, but that's, I mean, and yeah, I mean, you'll get more people to actually go into the classroom if we also sort of have that kind of, you know, almost a celebration for this work.
And I think that the photographer, because he is alum, I think that makes it even more meaningful.
We want to also amplify the photographer's work so that the photographer also gets credibility, gets credit for this.
I think that's great. Thank you.
And Dr. Ramirez will pay for that too. No, I'm kidding, We'll take it.
Dr. Lopez, I
Yes.
wonder how, sort of like the long-term sort of thought process in terms of the classroom piece and photos in the classroom, and what you're conceiving from a facilities standpoint, like are these sort of installed pieces, but maybe they could be. So I'm just saying, I would love to sort of work with you all to figure out, is there a more sort of permanent thought process as we fold into our bond work, and again, the ways in which Ernesto and I had a great conversation about, we were over in D-building, and there's some areas there. So I'm just curious how potentially we could have these things last longer or live longer, and that takes a lot of intention and conversation first.
Okay.
So that then we can plan. I mean, maybe it's a phase 1, phase 2 kind of thing, but I'd love to really figure out how we think through those sorts of pieces on campus as a whole, but just even in our physical classroom spaces, but even some of our shared spaces around the institution. So I'll reach out and we can.
We are open to that. And again, when you put students, not just students facing, but students focused, of course, if you can help us get more stuff for students, absolutely. Any other questions?
Thank you. Okay, classified senate.
I think many people here were at the board of trustees meeting last night, so a lot of us probably sound familiar with maybe some of the same notes. But since the last college council meeting, the classified senate has continued to grow. We've got 4 new senators, and importantly, we're increasing our representation of classified staff from facilities and skilled trades, which was kind of a big gap, and something that was really important. So happy to see that, and it does continue to grow. Last Wednesday we had our fall general meeting in Westerbeck. Dr. Gomez was there. We had a nacho bar, pretty cool. People had a good time, but we had a really good turnout. We were able to share some updates, actually fill a couple more final vacancies on some of the committees that we have. Some of these standing committees. We're really focused this year on giving everyone who's interested a chance to get involved in these different ways. So virtually all these vacancies have been filled. I was just messaging TJ this morning on some of the last ones that we had, and we are just trying to foster an environment of participation among classified staff, just to make sure that everybody has their voice and their vote in shared governance. Yesterday we were able to hold a vote at our classified senate meeting on 2 of the APs and 1 VP that are, I guess, on the table. So hopefully those can move forward for next steps. I believe we're one of the last stops for those, if I'm not mistaken. This wasn't in the notes, but I'm like sitting here thinking about it, and I just feel like it would be a disservice if I didn't communicate that in the discussion yesterday. There was a lot of concern from classified staff about what the future looks like for those requirements related to communicable disease and the exemption process, and how that's going to put them in a position to have to choose, make some kind of medical decision that could ultimately affect their job. And I respect their concern, and I also want to look more back at the example of what we experienced with folks that were applying for exemptions or requesting exemptions for like COVID vaccinations when that requirement came out, and just some of the frustrations and anxiety and fear and different things that were expressed. So I don't know if this is space for it, but I felt like I should pass that on just because it was a significant thing. At the end of the day, they voted to pass it, so there's really no actual official pushback from classified staff, but just want to pass that on, and something I wanted to dig into a little better with folks so that I have, I think, maybe a better answer for those folks. But at the end of the day, like I said, vote passed on that one. And then there's a ton of hiring going on. As Dr. Bolden mentioned, there's going to be some new classified staff starting in IEDJ and then other areas. this really ties in well with the Lancer Guide initiative that's being rolled out by the Office of Professional and Organizational Development in partnership with Human Resources. So we've got that kind of buddy system for our new staff. I went to the orientation for that and it was fantastic. So I look forward to seeing that play out because it really builds on something that, I want to be careful not to minimize how important it was that we did get that new employee orientation that we have, that HR put together. They worked really hard on that and they continue to grow that. But that's kind of a stepping stone and this kind of builds out on that, extends out on that. So that concludes my report.
Any questions? All right, I'm going to hand over the invisible gavel to Dr. Ramirez. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so let's go on. We don't have anyone here from Associated Students, correct?
Alden sent me an email, he's not well this morning. So we'll see you guys.
Okay, Management Association.
Looks like James, if you were at the board meeting last night, some of this may sound familiar, but we did have a new manager that was reported at last night's board meeting, so we wanted to welcome Roberto Emmerich as a new maintenance supervisor in facility. This month, the MA will be holding our monthly meeting for November on October 31st, and we're going to be serving lunch, so we moved it from beginning of November to the end of October, so we've had a space on campus so we could have lunch. We've been working on several APs and PPs. It looks like Crystal has up on ready for us to review here. And I wanted to give a thank you to the Director of Student Health Services, Mindy Throop, for her service to PCC. And Mindy let us know she's going to be leaving at the end of the month. And she's been a great asset to our Student Health Center and beyond. So we wanted to wish her luck in her future endeavors, whatever that may be. That's it.
Okay, thank you. So now we're down to old items. Health examinations. Crystal, do you want to walk us through this? This is
I do.
here
I
for
live
possible
this.
action.
Yep. So the first one is BP 7335. The changes that were made to this was to remove the requirement for faculty to have health exams because that is not a part of EdCode anymore. We moved the TB to a separate AP because someday we hope TB goes away. We added a paragraph on the ability of the district to do a fitness for duty exams when necessary. And we are clear here now that the medical examinations are for designated positions only, so not everybody, just designated positions.
Do we have a motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, we're good. Next one.
This is the AP and health exams, kind of the same thing, which is we removed the faculty requirement and moved the TB language to a separate AP.
May I have a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Okay, everyone in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
This is what this is. This is the separate AP on the certification of freedom from tuberculosis. So this, we just moved all the language into a separate AP, so this is a new administrative procedure. That's what I got.
Any motions? A motion, please.
Move to approve? Second?
Thank you. All in favor, everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No? Okay. Go on.
Okay, next one is faculty exchange. As you can see, I haven't reviewed this one since 1985 because I really didn't know how, but I talked to HR and they helped me. So there is no template policy for this from CCLC. So what we did is we just went into EdCode and pulled the language out of there and put it into the board policy and administrative procedure and tried to just make it a little clearer. As you notice, this is about temporary, and these are exchanges, and I just want to be clear about that. It's for full-time academic employees, and we're pretty clear in the AP that we're talking about tenured faculty. And these are exchanges, that means somebody goes and somebody comes. So it's not a sabbatical, it's like somebody goes and somebody comes, so it's an exchange. But if anybody ever did this, it sounds like a wonderful opportunity.
Motion to approve. Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? No? Okay.
Okay, we reworded the AP to take out all of the complicated language at the end and just kind of give it a cleaner look. And also I got asked to take out the part about 2 years and 4 years, which I did. And then we just took out all the processes that said, turn left at the end of the block and then make a quick right, because none of us ever followed them anyway. So this is just cleaner language on how you go about doing an exchange. Questions?
Nothing? So, thank you. Second? Lindsay, thank you. All in favor? Any nays? No? Abstentions? No? Okay. It's approved. Now we're on new items.
Right, these are first reads. So this is AP 3550, Drug-Free Environment and Drug Prevention Program. The new ed code requires that we add a section on opiate overdose. So I have slipped it right in there. This is the template language from CCLC. That's all that's changed. I just added in that language. Questions, comments?
Does this need to go to Senate?
Yes, I think Senate should see it,
Okay.
in case they want to have a opioid problem.
Can you send it to us, please, Crystal?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, by 3 today.
Sure, Sheila.
Sorry, that's what our agenda
No
is.
pressure.
Are you available for Monday? It's on board docs.
Okay.
It's on board docs, right?
Yeah, it's
The
there.
changes are?
This document is on
Yeah.
board docs. Yeah.
Yeah, with the little it's just this one paragraph.
Okay.
That's all.
Opioid overdose. Okay. Any other comments? We'll wait until next meeting to hopefully approve. Okay, the next one.
Withholding of student records, so the ed code and Title V on this has changed. We can no longer withhold registration from a student that owes us money. The only thing that we can withhold is diplomas. If they happen to default on a loan and don't pay it. So we actually just took the template language from CCLC, popped it in, and we're very clear now. If you see up here, it says we're going to hold registration. Down here, we say we can't do that. So the only avenue the district has to get students to pay back their debt, or if they default on the loan, is to withhold their diploma.
Does that mean they don't, it's not on a transcript, or they don't
Nope,
get
they
to
can
get a transcript?
We just don't have to confer the degree on the transcript. The
So it will not be transcribed.
Right.
Do we have a mechanism to do that? Brenda, do you know?
Sure, I'm trying to, I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it's auto, we do auto now.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna
Let's
ask
just
Mary
hope they
to
don't
make
owe
a
us any money.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna take, any questions, comments on this?
Again, Crystal, does it need to go to Senate?
I do believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, all on your stuff there.
Okay. Okay, so that will be going to Senate, we'll table. The next one, BP 4260.
Right, this is prerequisites, co-requisites, and advisories on recommended preparation. This got worked on by my little APPP work group. We just did a little language cleanup here to kind of make it a little more student friendly, which is, we talk about, instead of scrutiny, and maintaining, we're ensuring appropriate preparation, and we're not scrutinizing anymore. We're just gonna have a thorough process, and we took out that last, which provides, Sheila likes to fix the grammar for me, thank you, Sheila. So this one has to go to the Senate as well.
Questions, comments? Okay, so we'll table it for next time and it'll go to Senate. Okay, any announcements?
I'd like to make an
announcement.
Please.
So today, in a very amazing partnership with the VRC, the Pride Center, and the Cross Cultural Center, we're having a panel conversation today about queerness in the military. Our guest speaker happens to be an alum, Tracy Cooper Harris, who donned our building for a while, but she really is a big deal. I mean, if you look back, Southern Poverty Law Center took her case and her wife's case all the way to the Supreme Court to overturn DOMA and Don't Ask, Don't Tell. So she is gracing our campus today down at the Wi-Fi Lounge. So lunch is being served, and we welcome you all to join us.
What time is it again, Gerald?
5
Yes, yeah, pardon?
What time is it?
Noon, right after this.
Any other announcements? No, okay, well, thank you, the meeting is now adjourned.
Every day.
Thank you.